Welcome back to the Adventure Athletes podcast, world's #1 podcast for adventure athletes, sharing stories of those creating a difference within themselves to benefit others. In this week's episode, I sit down with Ryan Stevens. Now, there wasn't a short way that I could summarise Ryan because he does so much and it is really pushing the limits in a lot of different ways. So, in this week's episode, we talk about his Get After It initiative, where he's taken a group of people to try and improve their lives. We talk about finding your true motivation, really digging deep into what it is that drives you forwards, how prison changed his life, using trauma in a positive way, and how to build consistency in whatever you do. This was a great episode, so I highly recommend listening to the end, where you will find this week's weekly challenge set by Ryan. Some other updates for you. I'm still training with my tyre for my world record attempt. This is to fundraise for BigMoose, so check out the link in the description below to fundraise and donate some money towards my cause. We're doing lots of other things for fundraising as well, like I'm running a weekly group run, and I'm also donating a percentage of all of my profits to BigMoose as well. As part of that, I am running a climbing course on the 1st of April, so if you want to learn how to climb, come along, book on. We've tried to make it as affordable as possible, and there's 2 qualified rock climbing instructors on the day, so come along to that. It is going to be a great day. And then secondly, I will be starting an Olympic lifting course at Pontyclean Snap Fitness. So if you want to learn the basics of Olympic lifting and start your journey off to get to an Olympic lifter, then come along, book on. It's an 8-week course. You'll get sessions with me twice a week. It's very small groups, so book on now before spaces go. But for now, enjoy the podcast. So to get started then, I wanted to start off with asking you about the initiative you've got for men that you was doing this morning, weren't you?
Yeah. So basically, I did a bit more context. I did my personal training qualification last year. I did the gym instructor one, which is like a precursor to that. So I was like, I didn't know what I wanted that for. It is specifically, but I was like, I know it's going to come in handy because, you know, it's really relevant to me. Like, I love fitness, I love running, all that kind of stuff, and also like pushing people physically and mentally. So I thought, well, it's clear that's something I need to do. So I ticked that off and did the breathwork qualification. Obviously, do like all the mindset and well-being stuff as well. I've done that for years. So I thought, well, I kind of want to put all of these things together. I want to make something that helps people and also pushes them physically, mentally, and gets them to create behaviour change through doing that. And like you said, I created then the Get After It initiative, which was a 5-week sort of intense program as such, where we set some goals, we got together, and then every Monday and Wednesday we done run, breathwork, and a dip. We did some like burpees and press-ups and all that kind of stuff during the runs, and running up hills and all that kind of stuff, like pretty accessible for people because they can just ease off the intensity and stuff and walk the hills, but also pretty tough, you know what I mean? And getting up super early and doing that in the winter as well. We had we've had rain, we had cold as hell weather for a good few weeks doing it, and then obviously going in the water as well, in the sea after it. So, pretty tough. And then every Saturday for 5 weeks we were doing pretty tough, stupid type challenges, do you know what I mean? And it was not stupid or tough in the way that people wouldn't finish it. It was stupid and tough in the way that you wouldn't think to do these things, but they're very difficult, but also I made them so that they were quite accessible, so that people can lower that intensity to suit their own levels. Do you know what I mean? So, for example, the first one was Constitution Hill, which is in Swansea. It's like a really steep gradient for anyone watching. It's like really steep, but it's cobblestones. Actually, I tell you what, if anyone's seen the film Twin Town, it's right at the start in the opening scene. They're driving down that hill like joyriding, and you can see how steep it is then. But anyway, we were running up to the first turning, then turning back left, going right to the bottom, then the second, then the third, and there's 5 turnings before you eventually run right the way to the top. So, and then you come back right to the bottom, and then there was one more round where I got to carry a cement bag to the top. So it worked out about 3.6 miles, but that's pretty much like a large portion of that, like 1.5 miles, 2 miles of that is purely uphill. So it's tough, but I was getting them to do burpees and stuff in between. And like that was the start of the challenge, so it was it only got tougher. It ended with carrying a bag of 25 kilo cement up to the top of Kilvey Hill, which is 650 feet of elevations on the trail, and it's about a mile or just over a mile of distance. So, and then we went back down with the cement as well, and then you had to run back up again without it. So it was, that was a super tough one. And what we also did on that was like forfeits. So if I dropped the bag, or one of the other guys dropped the bag, we'd have to do like 10 press-ups or something. So just to make it a bit more tough. But like I said, even though that is physically tough and it's physically challenging, I was like, I want people to walk away from it feeling really proud of themselves. And because I found personally that challenging myself and doing stupid stuff, when I do it, you get a bit of an ego boost, because you're doing something that a lot of people don't want to do and don't think to do, and kind of look at it and go, what the fuck, that's nuts. Like, you get a bit of it's like that whole, like, insiders club sort of thing. You just feel like I'm doing something that other people don't want to do, and it gives you that little dopamine kick. But what that also does then is feed into your sort of self-esteem, so you feel like proud of yourself, especially because it's something that's really, really tough. And that's exactly what happened, the guys were super proud of themselves for going and doing these really tough things, but also they're connecting with each other in the meantime, and there's like that little subtle mental health angle to it. I've actually opened it up now, so it's male and female. So I did it for just men initially, and a lot of people, I did have quite a few people asking me like, why is it just for men? Can women join and stuff as well? I was thinking about it, and it's like, there was two angles. It was one because, we know what like blokes are like, we don't open up as much, and I thought if it's just a male dynamic, hopefully that'll sort of feed into, the conversations and men opening up and feeling more comfortable and things like that. But at the same time, it was... I thought, right, it's going to be quite tough if I've got to, make these workouts and the challenges that accommodate for everybody. So I was a bit like, okay, I'm going to do just male only and see how that goes. But I ended up opening it up now. The Get After Club now is open to anybody, but only if people are really committed to change. So I'm quite like strict on the fact that I want people to be there to make changes, and that's not just in terms of fitness. So like, it would be including fitness, but it would also be including sort of mindset, even things to like reading books. If somebody's like, I want to, get out of a rut that I'm in right now, I want to, get a better job, I want to earn more money, whatever it is. There's ways of getting after it, per se, in terms of that as well. So that could be listening to a podcast, instead of listening to music, going to work. It could be, instead of watching TV in the night, you're going to pick up a book and start reading a book. So it's kind of getting after it in these different ways that are feeding into the outcome that they want, to feeding into the person that they want to become. So, and also it does include fitness, it includes breath work, it includes, stuff like, I've used this app now. So it's a bit of a coaching program, but also a community, and it's very much exactly what I wanted it to be. So like, funny enough, actually, after this podcast, that's the thing I've got to do. We're doing an onboarding call for everybody. So we're going to be setting specific goals that people want, as well as milestones then on that journey. Things they want to be held accountable for, so then everybody else can sort of feed into that and then create that community vibe. And then every now and again we're going to do some stupid challenges and do like Penavan or Snowdon and things like that, stuff that people might not have they might just not have friends that would be up for doing that kind of stuff. So, it's a group of people who want to get after it, who want to achieve more, who want to make changes and learn more about themselves and be better in the process. So I think and it's really, really nice to see how that is already forming. And I only set the club element of it up in the last couple of days. And it's already, I've got 6 or 7 people on there now already, and it's great because it's a nice mix of guys and girls, and it's like everybody there is on board with it, they're enjoying it, and they're adhering to the stuff I've set out, that were laid out for them to do and stuff. So that's really good.
No, that sounds amazing. Like, it sounds like something that's going to be really beneficial to be a part of. Is that just for people in like the Swansea area, or is that like an online thing?
So yeah, a bit of both actually. So yeah, it was because that was part of it. I thought, well, I want to get take people out and do run. So we do in-person stuff as well. So like run, breathwork, and a dip. Do a couple of those a week and things like that. But like that was part of the initiative. That was mandatory in the initiative. Whereas now I'm like, well, I want to make it scalable. I want to make it so that, like you said, more people can get involved in it. So that's why I said the program can be done remotely. They don't have to show up. Whereas if you are local, we will be having in-person stuff. Or every now and again, you can come to one of the socials or one of the bigger events. Because if it's, like I say, for example, let's say, in April we do Snowdon, which is something I want to do. It gives people enough time, if they live up in England or whatever, they can actually travel down then and do that kind of stuff. But they're not losing anything, because on those other days, they've still got to tick off, run, breathwork, blah, 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 and I give them resources for all that kind of stuff, so like breathwork videos and things that they can follow. Time spent in nature is one of the ones that I'm big on as well, so I put that in the app, because I want people to spend like at least 10 minutes outdoors in nature, just because I know how easy it is to not do that, and also how that affects us mentally and also physically as well if we're not spending time out in nature as often as possible. So yeah, like that kind of stuff. It's all those things I build into it, and obviously I can see if people are taking them off and things like that. So yeah, it's something that can be done remotely. But if you are local to Swansea, then there's that. There's the runs. There's the the dips that are organised and stuff like that. So there is some stuff that you can get involved with there as well, which is quite nice, to be fair.
Yeah, no, that honestly sounds amazing. Like, when you launched the initiative, I was like, I really want to do that, but I don't live in Swansea. Yeah. And I'm like, if I could commit to like those times and days and everything, like I'd 100% be there. But like,
well, there we are. Yeah, I was going to say, I'll show you the deets and stuff after it. But yeah, like I said, anybody can get involved. You don't have to be, I've got one of my friends who was in Dubai actually. He's not on it yet, but we've spoke about it, and he's probably going to jump on. So yeah, you can do it remotely. Like I said, it's and that's what the call I'm doing with the guys later for is about, is to say, right, if somebody doesn't want to run, or if they can't run, like just because of injuries and things like that, I don't want them to be excluded. Do you know what I mean? So on those days, it can literally include, right, on those days then, what kind of fitness would you like to do? It could be going to the gym, it could be doing something else, and ideally I'd like people to be doing something physical, but it doesn't have to be something like ridiculously strenuous or running. It can be something different. And we can build that in. But like I said, the important thing then is that they're ticking those things off, and on any other days they do the workouts. They can upload those to the app, and also you've got the WhatsApp group as well, which is great because you see everybody else then. They're like posting in their runs, and if they're going for a dip, they're sending a video or post that, and it just it feeds into that sort of like positive thing. Because I think that's what people are crying out for, at the minute, is community, and a community of people then who have got the same interests as them, but are actually positive and helping them to move in the direction. Like, for example, if your friends don't go to the gym, but you value health and well-being and want to be fitter and healthier and do these things, it's like, who do you go with, or who do you speak to about this stuff? But whereas when you find then people or groups of people who are interested in that kind of same stuff, it just feels great, you know what I mean? You're like, fuck, I'm around the right people, this is, and the first instance I had of that was, I was like 19, I started this entrepreneurship course, and I was there for a year, and it was amazing, because I was like, I wanted to set up a business, didn't know how, but then this course was telling me how, and then I was around other people who had the same mentality as me, and I was like, fuck, this is amazing. So like now I like long for those sort of conversations and those people. And my friend Chad, so Chad, he's a great guy. Like he on the first 100-miler attempt I did back a couple of years ago, he very much last minute, like 2-3 weeks before, he was like, fuck it, I'm going to try and run as much as possible with you. He'd never run more than 5k at this point, right? And I think he was running a couple of days a week then for like 2 weeks to just get his body sort of ready for it. He did 7 kilometres. That was the most he'd done prior to this 100-miler attempt that I did. On the day, he ran 40 miles He was like doing a relay, so he was like every now and again he'd do 10k or whatever. He'd jump back in the car, then he'd jump back out. He totaled 40 miles, over the course of the day, and I was like, it's fucking amazing. But anyway, yeah, no, I didn't even bring him up actually. What were we talking about? I forgot where I was going with that.
Just building that community.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, so when we have a conversation, we'll talk for hours about all this kind of stuff, and we push each other, and and it's just one of those people. He's one of those people like I really connect with, and like you can lose hours with him, and you feel motivated and inspired and energized walking away from the conversation. And I just think that is what people need and long for, actually, because I think we all fall into friendships and social circles, and if those relationships are not predicated on like things that we love and enjoy and are inspired by, they're more likely going to be sort of predicated on drinking or going out or gossiping or just things like that, and you don't walk away feeling inspired from that. And it's okay to have people and friends like that, but yeah, I think it is super important to find people who we really, really deeply resonate with and just walk away feeling inspired from, because it just feeds into every other aspect of our life.
Yeah, that's really where my podcast came in for me, because I was doing these stupid challenges, like a 50-mile barefoot walk, and I was like, I don't know anyone that does this stuff. I want to find more people that are like the similar mindset to me, and they value like really serious self-challenges, rather than just me telling people like, oh, I'm going to walk 50 miles barefoot. They're like, not only just like, are you stupid or crazy? They're just like, why would you even want to do that? Like, what's the point? And it's just like, I just got fed up of all those conversations of trying to explain my like mentality to people, and it's like, I'm just not like them. I just want more people that think like me, not exactly like me, because it'd be boring then, but you want that community around you of people that understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, 100%. And like like you said, I think I spoke to somebody about this the other day, and I think actually, no, I tell you what I did do is it was yesterday. I messaged Cameron Haynes. He's probably never going to read it, right? But Cameron Haynes, like obviously ultra runner from America, bow hunter and stuff like that. But it's like his mindset, his mentality. I really resonate with him. As a person, like he's probably one of the main people, or probably one of the main person I can like really resonate with. Because he's just like an ordinary guy, but does love pushing himself mentally, physically, and things like that. And he does these extraordinary things through just like sort of just hard work and just getting after it. I don't know, I just really resonate with him. And I sent him a message actually, like I said, just saying, basically like you've been a big inspiration for me, but also you made sort of coming across him and his content made me realise like I'm not alone, like you said, because you feel like you're alone if you've got that mentality where you like want to go out and do stupid things, and people don't understand it. They're like, why would you do that? Or your knees are going to pack in, or you're going to make yourself ill, or whatever. It's just stupid. Why are you doing it? And even like my father actually, he was like, oh, you're just doing it to show off on social media. I was like, right, you do not fucking run 50 miles, 15 hours or whatever it took, and 28 or 22 of them my IT band was gone for, so I was literally like crying for like 22 miles. I was like, you do not do that for validation on social media. It goes way beyond that. That is not enough of a strong why to really get you past that. I said, the reason I do it is two things, really. One is to prove to myself that I can do these things, and also I can do a lot more than I would have probably previously given myself credit for. But then on the other side is to show other people, like, we can go out and do these things. Like, it is possible. You don't have to be superhuman. You just gotta go and, just basically fucking say, yeah, I'm gonna do it. And actually, you've got to train for it, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, like, I've been fit, and I have run for years. And I've kind of maintained that, but I wouldn't say that my fitness levels are any better now than they were 5 years ago before I'd never run a marathon. The only difference is my strategy going into an ultra. I know what to expect a little bit, and I know what to do preparation-wise for the day and things like that. But also I know mentally, I've been here before, I can do this, and you when your legs are aching and you think, fuck, I can't even walk, how am I going to do this? You just kind of know there's going to be that little dip, and you just got to ride that dip out, whether it's stretching or, sitting down or, just walking for a little while, and eventually they'll come back, and then boom, you'll be in a good place again, you're running again, and then all of a sudden you'll have another dip and you feel like shit again, and you feel sick or whatever, and you're like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to do it. But you make it through that, and it's just like these little cycles. And I think the more you do, like the more hard stuff you do, the more you just become accustomed to, oh shit, yeah, I've been here before, I know how to get through it. But you learn so much about yourself doing that. Obviously you've done, like you said, the 50 mile of barefoot and the couple of the was it 2 ultras you said, is it 235s?
Yeah, so I did 2 ultras, and I've actually signed up for my 3rd one this year. So
yeah, there we go. What one's this one actually?
So I'm going to be doing do you know Rhys Jenkins?
Yeah,
he's got the Pegasus Slam.
Yeah.
I wanted to do the Slam, but I couldn't get that much time off work. So I'm doing the Rhythm because it's round here. So
yeah, I haven't seen that one. I've seen the Vogum. One of my mates, Mike, is doing his first ultra, and that's he's doing the 40 mile Vogum. I think he's trying to get me to do it, so I probably will. Yeah, it's but like you said, I think it becomes addictive. I think, but not because of the payoffs. It's horrible to go through it, like mentally, physically, it's so fucking tough. But like it begs the question, like, why are we doing that then? If like you said, if people don't understand it. But when you go there and you go to that place and you achieve it, and that sense of achievement you get after that, and the lessons that you learn along the way about yourself and life and whatever, I think that is what you crave almost, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? And I think Courtney DeWalt, obviously she's fucking amazing, like one of the best, probably the best ultra runner in the world. Like I've seen her talking quite recently, and she said that the pain cave, which is what everybody like dreads on a marathon or an ultra or any sort of like distance run that's challenging for somebody, the pain cave is where you want to avoid almost, she said. But she started looking at it in a slightly different way. She was like, that is where the real toughness or the challenge begins, and that's where the growth comes as well. So she said now she actually looks forward to going into the pain cave because she knows that she's going to be learning and growing, and it's very much it aligns with something I say in schools and some of the other talks and things I do as well, which is, when you're leaning into discomfort, or when you're leaning into fear, or anything that makes you feel like just, oh my god, I don't want to do this, or I'm scared of this, whenever you lean in and you do that thing, you're not going to be the same person after it. And that's quite a scary thought, but you're going to be better for it. You're going to have grown from it. You're going to be less scared of that thing afterwards, or you're going to feel less uncomfortable doing that thing going forward. And it's like going into the pain cave. It's like you don't really get much more used to it per se when you're on an ultra. You know kind of what to expect, but at the same time I feel like you do become a little bit more equipped to know that when you go into that pain cave, that's where the growth is going to come, and you're going to walk out of that cave a lot better and a lot different than when you went in, whether it's being calmer, or being a better parent, or being better in a relationship, and these things, they're like you say, even though you think, it's just going to be applicable to fitness and stuff, but it's like, it's not. It's applicable to every aspect of life, because you're just changing who you are as an individual. You're changing your hard wiring to basically become an upgraded unit. Like if you look at the computer, if you change the every single bit of the components inside by that the relevance of that would be, if you're changing your diet so that you're eating better and differently than you ever have before, you're changing one of those internal components. If you're changing the fitness that you've done, and you're changing up your routine and things, and you're doing stuff physically that you've never did before, again, you're changing another internal component and up here. But also, if you're just going and pushing yourself and challenging yourself to do things that you didn't think were possible, or other people don't think are possible, but you're going and doing it, you're changing this hard wiring. So eventually the person you become is going to be completely different from who you were, and also the person you would have become if you didn't do all that kind of stuff. You know?
No, that's a really good point. And I like the analogy of the computer being like changing all the parts. And you can think of it like as well, because you brought up earlier, like getting after it isn't just the physical side. Like you can look out for it by doing like reading and journaling and meditation and breath work and cold water dips, like all things I know that you do.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're just ticking off all the boxes, really.
Yeah, that's like the Get After It Club, the thing I'm doing now, like you said, that's very much what that was based on, because I was like, I kind of sat there and thought about it, and I was like, well, the Get After It initiative was, yeah, physical challenging stuff, and also the mental challenging, because you're getting up early in the mornings and you're going out, going out and doing a run and going in the sea and stuff, and it's like mentally that's tough as well. But I thought, well, that doesn't absolutely encapsulate who I am as a person and who I've been for years, because I've always been, like you said, somebody who's like maybe trying to do stuff business wise and doing like different things like that and trying ideas out and stuff like that, and which I still do today, and building things up and failing and learning and growing, like you said, the journaling, the meditation, the breath work, trying all that kind of stuff. All of those things, they make up who I am as a person. And I thought, well, like you said, how can I incorporate that into this program? Because I was like, it's not like I want to build carbon copies of me, but it's like I know how, because people ask me like, how do you stay motivated, and how do you do X, Y, and Z, and it's like, well, these are things that I do, all of these different things, and it's like other people can do this as well, and that's why I want to do this onboarding call with everybody later, because I do want it to be personalised, because not everybody's going to want to run every single day of the week, but they might want to go to the gym, or they might want to play tennis or whatever it is, because it's physical and it's something they enjoy, so they're more likely to stick with it, and they're more likely to be growing in that direction that they want to go in. So the more individual, the better, but at the same time, all of these other little tools, journaling, breathwork, things like that, they can all be done within like a 10-minute period, or not even that, 5 minutes, but they can be beneficial. And I think the consistency is the important thing that, for me, which has completely changed my life. So that's something I really want to instill with others, and that's where the accountability comes in, the group accountability, and also them ticking things off in the app. Because I should have brought it with me. I got this book. It's like, if you imagine an old school math book, so you've got the little squares. It's kind of like that, but the squares are a bit smaller. And I've used it on and off for years, but I think going back, good couple of months. Oh no, was it last? Yeah, sorry, I started back up last month using it. Even though I was doing stuff consistently every day, I was just monitoring like the dips. I knew I was just going every single day regardless. The fitness, I was like, right, I want to do 1,000 days of fitness, so I'm on like 200 and odd, I think, now days every day. So I was putting in my notes like a day, whatever, 130, and this is what I've done. Breath work, then I was putting that into my notes, day, whatever, and whatever I did. But I was like, I was leaving it 2 or 3 days before updating. And I was doing the breath work, I was doing the fitness, but I was like, struggling to think then. I was like, what have I actually done the last couple of days? I know I've done stuff, but what have I done? So I've reverted back to using that book. And I'll just tick fitness off, I'll tick breathwork off, I'll habit stack, so James Clear talks about habit stacking, really, really good tool. I'll habit stack meditation, breathwork, and visualization together, and it doesn't even have to be long. Like last night, I got into bed, I was like, right, okay, I got to do breathwork, meditation, visualization. So I literally sat there, closed my eyes, started breathing, started counting the breaths in and out and whatever, and doing different styles of that whilst visualizing stuff, and I was sleeping within a minute or two, right? Now, for some people, that would be a fail, because they were like, I just want to do at least 20 minutes a day of breath work or whatever it is. And that's fine, but it depends what you want from it. If you want like spiritual fucking awakening or whatever, like, then great, yeah, you probably should do a bit more. But if you just want to build up consistency and build up habit, the easier it is, the better it is, or the easier it is to actually build up the consistency. So like, if you literally just say, I'm going to do at least like 5 or 10 breaths and that'll be ticked off as my breath work. Some days you're going to do much more. Some days you'll do an hour breath work, or half hour breath work, or 10 minutes. But other times, as long as you know that you only have to do like 10 breaths, you can do that literally just before you go to bed, and you're ticked off, then you're done for the day. And why that's important is, if you set the bar low enough, you make it really easy, like I said, to just keep going and to build that consistency. And then what you get from that is the dopamine, the feel-good hormone. Not feel-good hormone, feel-good hormone, essentially the pleasure chemical, whatever you want to call it, the neurotransmitter. You get like release of that from feeling like you're on track and feeling like you're progressing. And then dopamine, then, if you're improving the sort of amount of dopamine that you're getting from that kind of stuff, that is a precursor to more motivation. Because people say, like, where do you get your motivation from? And it's like, from doing stuff, in a way. It's doing stuff that's meaningful and that you enjoy, but at things that help you move forward. Because you can get your dopamine from a cup of coffee, you can get your dopamine from alcohol, you can get your dopamine from a vape. And you're getting a little bit, but the problem is you're like left chasing it. It's like negative dopamine almost. It's leaving you in a bit of a deficit after the spike, and you're sort of chasing it all day, and you end up feeling like shit then, because you're just like, oh, why am I feeling like shit? And it's because you're sort of in that dopamine deficit potentially. So if we're doing things like cold showers, cold water immersion especially, like that's the biggest sort of dopamine increase you can get, like 250%, and then it stays high for a longer period. But also, writing a to-do list, you get dopamine from that. You get a dopamine from ticking things off that to-do list. Or if you get those little books, like I said, about you just ticking off those habits, you're getting dopamine from whatever it is that you're probably doing with the habit, but you're getting more dopamine from actually ticking it off and tracking it. And then the trick is to just make sure you don't break the chain. Make it easy enough that you don't break that chain and just keep on going and tick, 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 tick. And then you see these things mounting up, and all of a sudden you're like, fuck, this is, it's amazing what you can create from it. But like I said, I would say for somebody listening or watching, start simple, start small. Instead of going, if you want to say, I want to start going to the gym, and the reason I want to go to the gym is because I feel like I've put a bit of weight on, and that means that I'm less confident in approaching somebody else, or people I find attractive, or I feel like I'm not going to be received well by them, and then I'm also really scared that I'm going to end up dying alone. Like that's where people's minds go. Do you know what I mean? They say, I want to join the gym, but if we really dig down on the motivations and the why of why they want to join the gym, it's not just because they've put the weight on, it's because it's how they feel about what that weight has created for them. Do you know what I mean? So it's like if it's low self-worth or low self-confidence or whatever it is. So really, if you get them to find that really strong why, and it makes them the motivation like a lot easier to obtain, and you know what I mean, they'll go and they'll join the gym. But then the consistency is the important thing. So if you say, I want to join the gym, but like, great. But if you just break that down and go, I want to feel physically better, I want to be in better shape, I want to lose weight. So it's like, okay, I'm going to track my calories, make sure I'm in a slight deficit, and I'm also going to do some form of fitness every day. So some days it can be the gym, but it doesn't have to be. And I think that's the key thing, because if the gym's not open, or if you can't make the gym, all of a sudden people are in their heads, they're like, fuck, I can't go to the gym today, or I didn't go to the gym today, and they go into a bit of a negative spiral. But if you literally just say, right, I've got to do some sort of fitness every day, you could get down and do 25 press-ups. And I do some of that some days. That's like 25 press-ups, I can go, boom, I've ticked my fitness for the day. Ideally, I'll do more, and ideally, I'll do different things. But I know full well, if I go and I get 25 press-ups in and get a bit of a pump on from it, and I'm ready then. I'm like, right, I've ticked that off the day, my fitness is done. And even though that seems insignificant, if you were to just do 25 press-ups a day, over the course of the week, that is, 150? I don't know.
Yeah.
175, roughly. Isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm terrible at math. So it's 175 every week. Let's say 50. Let's say 50 press-ups, right? You could do 10 on the hour for every hour that you're in work if you do a 5-hour shift or something like that, let's say. Now, you're not really going to get much of a pump on from that. You might get a bit of thing, you might get the blood flowing, but you've still done 50 press-ups at the end of the day. If you do that every single day, that is 350 press-ups in a week. That is 1,400 in a month. And by the end of the year, you've done over 10,000 press-ups, or like 14,000, 15,000 press-ups, whatever it is. And when you think about that, that is a crazy number. But that is literally just doing 10 press-ups every hour on the hour, for 5 hours whilst you're in work, and you just do that then 7 days a week. Like I said, people won't even feel probably a massive amount of difference from that, but by the end of the year, you've done 14 or 15,000 press-ups. And it's like, if you think about somebody, if they were to spend a week doing press-ups, and they did that many, they're going to be fucking shredded from it. You know what I mean? And it's like, you're getting the same sort of thing across the course of time. So like, I find like, that's where you win. I think that is where you can win, when you really roll it back and just aim for that consistency. Small entry point, and then just aim for the consistency. And that's very much what I do. Like with the dips, obviously, for anyone who's listening or watching, they don't know, I go in the sea every day, have been for like 3.5 years, so I hit 1,200 days. So I think today was 1,222, actually, every day, going in the sea or any natural body of water, so like rivers, lakes, and all that kind of stuff. But for me, I'm like, I make it is that's the toughest thing, you know, because I've still got to get there, and it is fucking hard. But that is my one constant. That's the one thing I will do. I have to do. I will get it done, and it's a grounding thing for me, and it's an adventure as well, actually, because a lot of the time, 9 times out of 10, I don't want to be there. I don't want to do it. It's uncomfortable, but I feel great physically and mentally afterwards, and you know, I know that there's that overcoming of a challenge that I've been through. So I do that. And but like I don't say I'm going to stay in for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 minutes. It could literally be right as soon as I get in and out, I'm done, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like that's my tick. With fitness, again, set the bar low with that. Breath work, just a couple of breaths, and most days I'll do a lot more. But I know full well that I've only got to do a couple to stay consistent with it, and just that progressive feeling is fucking incredible for like keeping you going and keeping you motivated. And actually, I think even when you have tough times and tough things go on or stuff that happens, if you're able to just maintain like the bare minimum of your discipline and consistency, however that looks, that can really help to see you through. Do you know what I mean? And I think you're not expecting too much of yourself then, and you're not kicking yourself for not, you know, doing as much as what you would normally do. You're just doing the bare minimum. Like, and journaling, actually, I journal every day now, and some days I'll literally write, just going to bed, tired as fuck, see, I'll journal probably tomorrow, or see tomorrow. All I'm doing is writing to myself, do you know what I mean? But I've kept the consistency going just by doing that. But then there'll be other days where I might not want to journal, but I'll do it, and all of a sudden I'll write 3 or 4 pages about shit that I've got going on, and all of a sudden I've laid it out, so it's not in my brain anymore, and actually objectively, because I'm looking back at it, I can make sense of it in a better way. So that's what I find is really good about that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
I waffled on a bit.
That's all right. With that, I did want to bring up like a trap that I fell into, which you kind of touched upon, is making it like small enough that it's achievable, because so many people will be like, right, here's my workout program. I have to hit the gym 5 days a week. I have to follow this program. And they might go to the gym the 5 days that week, but they might miss like one exercise on one of the days. And then in their head, they're like, oh, fuck it, I fucked it up. I failed. Like, and then they won't go the next day because they're like, the plan's fucked now. Like, it's done. I've missed one exercise on one day. And then they just completely go off the rails the opposite way. And they've just built up that barrier themselves, because like they've made progress, but they're not seeing it as progress because they did one thing wrong. Yeah,
it's like, and the thing is, I think with that, you know, like you say, you can go and work on yourself physically, but I think what's important as well, and what we sometimes forget, is that we've got to work on ourselves mentally as well, and not just like in terms of mental health, but in terms of our sort of paradigms, so like how we interpret events and how we process things like that. So like you said, the first thing that might go to someone's head if they've, let's just say, missed an exercise in the gym, or they didn't turn up that day, or they only done half hour instead of an hour, or they had a cheat meal and they went off plan slightly, like you said, the first thing that goes to their mind is, fuck's sake, I failed, I'm an idiot, I'm useless, I'm going to be, you know, I'm paying this plan and blah blah blah, or oh God, I think you get the sense of guilt as well, because you're like, oh, I don't really know, I don't want to show, you know, tell the person, my trainer now, because they're going to be mad with me and they're going to be gutted and whatever it is. So like all of this stuff is going on, and all we're doing is lowering our belief within ourselves and our, you know, that self-perception, and feeding into a self-talk that's not going to be positive for us, not going to be congruent to who we want to be. It's not going to be aligned to who we want to be. And I think one of the key things to remember with that is listening to that inner voice, and this is where journaling is actually really powerful, but listening to that inner voice and thinking, hang on, I'm kicking myself here again, it's fine, it's only one donut or whatever, you know, it's only one gym session I missed, that's fine, because like you said, you said I've been the other 4 days this week, so that is 4 out of 5 I'm winning, because you know, I've spent 4 days doing all of the stuff that I meant to do, it's only one day I failed, that's fine, because next week I don't want to miss that day. I'm going to be better next week. It's like the whole glass half full, glass empty thing. It's looking at it and thinking the glass is half full. I've done 4 days out of 5. That's good. That's better than what I was doing before, which was maybe nothing. And that's another thing is, expecting to be able to maintain that, like 5 days a week training flat out, when you've maybe done 6-7 months or a year or 2 years or whatever without doing anything or just going every now and again. Like, it's actually quite unfeasible to just do that, It's great if you can, but physically it's going to be quite tough. And actually, not even just in terms of the muscle repair, but just the energy output. Your body's going to be going through a massive transition, trying to accommodate to this new stimulus that you're putting on it. So it's, I think this is where, like, the Get After It Club, actually, I'm trying to toe the line, because it's about, getting after it, like, no excuses, pushing yourself. But what I truly believe as well is you've got to be gentle with yourself. You've got to forgive yourself for the things you don't do. Be grateful and appreciative of the things that you do or have done. And just expect, just saying to yourself, it's okay, it's fine. Forgive myself for not going to the gym this week. But it's because maybe I've had a lot of stress with work. I've had a lot of stuff going on. I've just been prioritising some other stuff, and that's okay. I forgive myself for it. I'm going to try and be a little bit better next week. I'm going to, aim to go at least 2 or 3 times. So you're just giving yourself space. I think this is where it can be quite difficult, because some people will take that and run with it. They'll go, oh yeah, well, that's fine, I'm just going to take 10 months off, but like, I think that's where it comes back to, like, why are you doing it in the first place? Like, why did you join this plan or this club? What's the thing that you really want to have from it? Because if somebody says, like, I want to get fitter and healthier because I want to live longer, to spend more time with my kids and be able to be active with them later into life, right? If they say that's a really strong purpose, it's a really strong why. So if they're making excuses, not showing up, and things like that, you can kind of be like, look, this is. Do you remember why you're here? Do you remember what it is that you said that you wanted from this? And they go, oh, yeah, I want to live longer, I want to spend more time with kids. Okay, so let's find the time. Let's figure out what we can do. Let's try and change things around. And like I had that similar conversation with a guy I was coaching before, super successful guy, really, really well, well off as well with his company and the stuff that he was doing. But no, he wasn't really doing anything for himself. Well-being wise or otherwise, just didn't have a sense of identity and things like that. And I said to him, so okay, you want to start training, you want to make changes and things like that, but why? What do you want these changes for? Like, what's the purpose? And eventually it came down to, like, I said to him, I was like, okay, so you tell me you can't work out, you haven't got the time before or after work and things like that. But I said, if somebody come up with a crystal ball and they said, look, you're gonna die in 5 years time or 10 years time or at this age if you carry on the way you're going, or they said you can start going to the gym twice a week or 3 times a week and you'll actually get another 15 years. So you're going to get to see your kids graduating through college, getting married, and blah, 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 all this stuff. I said, would you find an hour a day or half hour a day or 10 minutes then? And he was like, yeah, 100%. So, like, it's a perspective shift. I think when we have that perspective shift, that is what becomes really empowering for us, because we reprioritize the things that we're engaging in and doing. That's why, like, a bit dark, but if somebody goes through a loss, if somebody loses a parent or a family member or whatever it is, if somebody loses somebody close to them, it causes us to reevaluate everything in our life, what we're doing and the things that, matter to us. And we start making usually some really positive changes and from that. Or if something happens to us, like, directly. So, like, in my instance, had the first business when I was 19, set that up, run it for about 2 years, which was a tattoo studio, going through loads of negative stuff with the business, loads of toxic stuff, and didn't really see a way out of it. So I ended up selling drugs, got caught about 3 months later, because I was a terrible drug dealer, and I ended up getting sentenced to 2 years, 4 months in prison. Went down, I was inside then for 9 months, and all of a sudden I've gone, I was 21 at this point, just turned 21, or 21 and a half something, and I was like, yes, this was 2015 as well for context. So yeah, it was like 8 years ago, 9 years ago. 9 years ago. So I thought, well, I'm at rock bottom here. This is like, I've never been here before. I've gone from running a business, getting respect and all this kind of stuff, like, which I never really had prior to that, starting to learn more about myself and actually improve my self-talk, because I was bullied in school and all that kind of stuff. So it just was really, really negative self-talk. I didn't believe in myself, you know, in terms of what I could do. And then all of a sudden I've made this fucking crucial error and I'm in a really low place. I'm in rock bottom. I'm in this pit. I'm like, where do I go from here? But I think just, you know, having those sort of situations that you can use and thinking, I don't want to be back here. I want to find a way out of this. Like, that can be, I think that's what point I was trying to make, is it can be a really strong motivator when you go to somewhere like that and you go, right, okay, I don't want to go back there, and like, I want to be better than this, and just start making changes and just, yeah, keep improving. I think that's the point I was trying to make. I went on a bit of a tangent with that one, but yeah, there's a quote I love which encapsulates it, which is, rock bottom is fertile grounds for the seeds of revolution. So rock bottom is the fertile ground for the seeds of revolution. And yeah, that is, like, you know, that was a really empowering, I think, quote. I probably came across that at that point. And there's another quote which I was going to get tattooed on me, which is, I may be laying in the gutter, I'm laying in the gutter, but I'm staring at the stars. And I really love those. I think those are really, really powerful. And something I realised is, when I was in there, sitting in a prison cell, I thought, well, I fucked everything up, I'm never going to come back from it. But then after a couple of weeks of that kind of, like, really loathing talk and things like that, I realised, if I keep thinking like that, I'm never going to get out of it. I'm never going to move past it. I'm never going to do the things I want to do and be the person I want to be. But instead, if I realise that, yeah, I'm in this pit, but this is rock bottom. If this is what I'm saying is rock bottom, then the only way I can go from here is up. All I've got to do is just do one thing a day that's moving me a little bit closer to that goal. Just one thing, whatever it is. And just keep moving forward, just keep focusing on that, instead of how far you've got to come or how you're not where you want to be. Just forget about all that and just take it one day at a time, one step at a time, and just keep pushing and learning and growing and developing. Just the 1% rule, the 1% rule, 1% better every day, and let time do its thing. Yeah. Like I said, that was Feb. What was it? March. Yeah, it was March 2015. I got arrested at the end of March, and I got sentenced then at the end of April in 2015. So that was like coming up on 9 years ago. And for the last 6 years, 7 years, the last 6 or 7 years, I've been doing talks in schools, colleges, universities, things like that. And obviously for the last 3.5, 4, probably 4 years now, I've been coaching people, mentoring people. You know, doing all of the stuff I'm doing now, being on loads of podcasts about it and things like that. And I get to, like, my mission is, like, challenging people to become better, or empowering people to become better, you know. And the way that I do that through loads of different avenues. But if somebody walks away just that 1% better, or with one more idea or one more thing that they can use in their life that's going to help them, that's like a mission accomplished for me. Do you know what I mean? I love that shit. But yeah, like I said, that came from going through that battle myself and then finding a way out of it. But like I said, going back then, if you'd said to me 9 years in the future, you're going to be doing all this stuff, blah, 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 I'd be like, fuck, that's nuts, really, you know? Yeah, would have never thought it. But it's just knowing that where you don't want to be, I think, is more important sometimes than actually figuring out what it is that you want to be doing. Yeah. And just know that that's the direction you don't want to go in. So you've got to go, right, well, I've got to go this way then. I don't know where it's going to lead, but I know it's going in away from the direction that I don't want to be going down. And that sometimes is enough, you know?
I actually really love that. Something that people sometimes ask me is, like, how do you know, like, what you want to do? Like, they're like, you really know what you want to do? Like, how do you know what you want to do? And I'm like, do you not know what you want to do? They're like, no, I have no idea what I want to do. And then I'm like, well, what don't you want to do? And then they're like, oh, well, I can list all these things I don't want. And I'm like, do the opposite. Yeah. Just find the opposite of what you don't want to do and start doing that. You'll figure something out eventually.
Yeah.
That's how I see it anyway. So yeah, I love that.
100%. Yeah. No, I think it's super, super important. That is. It really is. Yeah, like you said, because I think there was a guy, Adam Brooks. Actually, he's a really good guy. He's like Sales Academy, I think is his business. He super charismatic guy. Like as soon as I met him in person, we just kicked off like that. You know what I mean? He's great. And I was speaking to him, and I think it was just after I did, or like a day or two after I'd done a talk in a school, and it was just a shambles. It was great. Like, most of the day went fine, but then the end of the day, I had like a really challenging bunch, of people. They were like the naughty kids. They basically put them all in together, and just said like, "Oh, can you just speak to them?" and blah blah blah. And there was like 40 kids in a really small room on a Friday, on a hot day, last lesson. I was like, this is gonna be a nightmare, and it was a fucking shambles. But I was talking to him about that. And I said about what one of the kids had said, he was like, I said, like, what do you want to be when you, grow up? I was like, is there anything you can think of? Is there anything you want, maybe you thought about being when you were younger, or any ideas, things that you like doing? He said, I'm going to be a drug dealer. And I was like, I said, can you just lie to me? And I was like, I kind of just like joked about it. I was like, yeah, okay. I said, why then? Why do you want to be, a drug dealer? I just went with it. He said, well, my father's a drug dealer. My grandfather was a drug dealer. She said, so I'm going to do it. It's good money now. And I was like, right, there we are then. Cool. It's kind of like, it was going to be wasted in that sense, I thought. But then I spoke to that Adam about it afterwards, a couple of days later, and he said very much what we were just talking about, which was he had a similar sort of experience doing a school talk or whatever before, and he asked the person, or whoever said whatever they said, he asked them, okay, so what don't you want to be? And then the answer that they came up with actually was in prison, because one of my family members was in prison. I don't want to be in prison. And he went, okay, we can work with that. And like you said, it's like, then, okay, if that's where you don't want to be, you got to make sure that the things that you're doing, the actions that you're taking in the here and now, are as far away or polarized from that particular outcome that you don't want. My friend Chad, who I mentioned earlier, actually, he said something which really fucking stuck with me. It was brilliant. He said whenever he was thinking of, he's ever thought about doing something that's like, just sort of, cutting corners or whatever, like, anything like that. If he's ever thought about cutting corners or whatever, he's always associated a headline that could be printed in a paper or online with that particular thing, right? So it could be, let's just say, local business owner or local carpenter, done for fraud for tax evasion, just something stupid like that, right? Like I said, it's something. If he was thinking about doing a particular thing, he'd think about, actually, what would be the headline? Oh yeah, fuck that, I don't want that, and it could literally be as simple as, I won't say as simple as, but it could literally be, if you answer a phone call while you're in the car, or you just, you send in a voice note, or you answer a phone call or whatever. Like I said, loads of people do this very subconsciously and stuff. If for whatever reason, touch wood, this doesn't happen, but like if for whatever reason somebody walks out in front of the road, you just happen to miss them, or you just, end up like, knocking them down, the headline with that is local podcast host or local mindset coach or whatever, kills person from bloody whilst being on the phone. Do you know what I mean? Something like that. And all of a sudden the world absolutely hates you. And you've actually caused obviously a lot of damage in that process to a couple of people's lives. And all of a sudden it gives you that paradigm shift, that perspective shift, and you just go, actually, I'm just going to leave the phone on the fucking passenger seat or wherever it is, do you know what I mean? And you're not going to pick it up because you've thought of the bigger picture, you've thought further down the line, and it's like that thing there, is knowing I don't want to be in prison, for example, if you say that to somebody who's in school, if they say, oh yeah, no, I don't want to be in prison, okay, great, let's work with that. That's the big picture. So like these things that you're doing, if you're going out on the weekend and you're just like, I don't know, whatever it is, like trying to fight people or whatever, selling drugs, whatever they're doing, you go, okay, well, what you're doing right now is feeding into that place and that person that you don't want to be. So it's not a matter of not getting caught, it's a matter of not doing it in the first place,
Yeah. Something I did want to pick up on from what we've been talking about is this idea of like creating that radical change. So like, you went to prison, that created that change in you. I was homeless before, that's created a change in me to then go off and do the complete opposite. How can people create that drastic change in their lives without having to hit rock bottom? Because I think that's something a lot of people struggle with. They're in that sort of in-between zone where it's like, I don't want to be here, but it's not actually that bad, so I'm not going to do anything about it. Like, how do you kickstart that change without them having to go through something potentially like quite traumatic?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, like you said, if you've got something that's really traumatic or really, powerful that you can pull upon to walk and say, this is my motivation, this is my fuel, I think that definitely helps. I think most people have got that. Like, that can literally be that little voice of, let's say, a parent who says, like, yeah, you never be able to do that, you're fucking useless, or blah, 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 whatever. Like, and don't get me wrong, right? My father's great, we get on and stuff, but he's so negative, and he tries doing it in a way to keep me safe, right? As most parents do. But what he doesn't realise is when he, some of the stuff he says would be like, he'd be, oh, you're not going to fucking do that, you haven't got the bloody, the mindset for that, or and he just, it's little things, but sometimes that can be a motivation, is pulling upon a voice of a bully in school or a parent, and one of the things they said that maybe made us feel like, you're not worthy or whatever it is, or, like I said, yeah, pulling on different things. Like, so I had an ex-partner, actually, when we were splitting up, we were like 15 at this point, so I was quite young, right, 15, 16. I had an ex-partner, she said something, which I actually think was probably a big reason why I'm like, partially, as motivated as I am now, probably one of the things that fueled me, was she said, you are going to always be in dead-end jobs, low-paid jobs, and you're never going to achieve anything. Something like that she said to me, right? And it stuck with me. It really did. And I think why that resonated further was because, like, no disrespect to my mother or father, but they worked and still work fairly low-paid jobs, and that's that. And they've provided me with a great life and stuff, up to this point. So I can't fault them for that, you know what I mean? Because they really worked hard, and they still work hard. But I think knowing that I didn't want to be like that, and then having that said to me, and then bringing that to the forefront of my mind, all of a sudden I've grabbed onto something. You could look at it like, a crutch almost, or not a crutch, but like if you're trying to cross the river, you can wade through it, but you might get swept away, or you can find a plank of wood to put down to go over it. So, those sorts of things sometimes can be those planks of wood to get you to where you want to be a little bit easier, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think on that point, I'd also say, if you know that there's something, if you're not in a place you don't want to be, I think first is looking at everything you're doing and going, like, just sit there, put your phone away, and just spend an hour sitting there with a bit of paper and just wait till something comes up, but actually start with writing the things. Okay, what is it that I do in life? I go to work, this is the job I do, I work this many hours. Do I like this job? Well, actually, don't even go there yet, just start by saying that's what you do. I've got a partner, I got to spend time with them, blah, 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 do some stuff. And you just write down, like, your week. Let's say you write down your week or your month and what your life kind of looks like. Then, once you've got all of these things, then you can start to pull it apart. Then you look at the partner, for example. You go, okay, why am I with my partner? Like, what is it that I like about them? Like, and it sounds a bit weird or anal to do that sometimes, but, I think it's important. Like, what values do we share? Like, do I see myself building a future with this person? Do they really lift me up and inspire me? And do I feel like they're adding enough to my life and things like that? And it's not about being selfish with it, because obviously you should be providing to them as well, and they're always going to be a part of the a bigger puzzle, and you should be there to help each other and stuff. But I think recognizing why you're there in the first place and seeing if you do see a future with that person, and also if the future you've got for yourself, if you've got a vision of it, aligns with that, with that person being in it. And then also on the flip side, you got the job, and you think, okay, well, I don't really know what I want to do in the future, but I don't really like doing what I'm doing right now, but I do like fitness. And that's all you need sometimes, is that little, I like fitness. Because then you can build on that. You can say, what kind of stuff could I be doing with fitness? And I never wanted to be a personal trainer. I still don't, actually. I'm not a personal trainer. I've got this qualification, but I don't call myself one. I don't want to be one. But I do like pushing people physically and mentally and challenging them and giving them exercises and stuff that's hard to do. So in that respect, I'm a personal trainer. But, you know, I always kind of knew, like, yeah, fitness is something I want to do with. I just don't know what. I don't want to be a personal trainer. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like exploring that area. That is enough for now. Like, you know, and you could go, right, so this job, I know I don't want to be here for a long time, but I'm going to stick with it right now because it's providing me with an income. But it's giving me the option, the security, to explore this other stuff that I want to do. It's giving me the security to go and to try whatever, you know, maybe go doing a personal training course or pay for the course and stuff like that. And then it's giving me, like, you can go in that direction, you know what I mean? You can explore the personal training stuff, and then you can maybe go, oh, well, I'm going to start doing some client stuff now. Or somebody says, oh, can you know, help me lose weight? Oh, great, you've got your first client. And then you can build on that, you know. But like I said, I think figuring out all of the stuff that you've got going on in your life, writing it down so you can see this like objective view. It could even be a spider diagram, actually. And if somebody feels like, you know, you can use different colours and stuff as well, if that helps in terms of like the visual element. So you've got this, you know, big graph then of all the stuff that's involved in your life, and you can start to go, okay, well, I don't really like this. And you can start to go circling it and go, right, I'd like to change this, or I'd like to remove this. And to give a bit of a story, actually, I've got a good friend, and I love this story with him, right, because he was only early 20s, I think he's like 23 now, I think he was 21 maybe when I met him. You know, very much lost in life. Very much lost in life. He, you know, had been doing drugs and drinking and stuff when he was younger with his friends, and it caused like a lot of like mental health issues and stuff with him. And he just pulled away from everything. He stopped going to the gym, he stopped seeing his friends, he stopped doing the drink and the drugs, and he stopped everything, right? And he said to me at one point, just, my life feels quite flat. And I said, well, where are you getting your dopamine from? You know, as all of these neurotransmitters and things, like, if you're not really doing any of these different things, you're going to feel quite flat because you're not fluctuating up and down for better or worse, which is, you know, like I said, you're not getting the negative dopamine from drinking or doing drugs, but you're not getting the positive dopamine because you're not setting yourself to do lists or going out surfing or going to the gym and doing all that kind of stuff. But I said, what you've actually done is created a blank slate. And I was like, that is a really good place to be, because now you can look at the stuff that you were doing, see the stuff you don't want to do, but also you can add back in the things that you know work for you, like surfing, like going to the gym or running, for example, which is, you know, his example. So like, you can start putting those things back in because you're like, those things work. These things don't, these things work. Start building it back up. And then you are literally sculpting, you know, or like building and creating and forging your own life based off things that actually work for you. Now, he is out in Laos, he's been in Sri Lanka, he's been in like all these different places, he's got this long flowing hair, he's created his own TikTok account, he's got a big following on it, like all travel videos and things like that, and you can just see he is radiating just like gratitude and positivity, and he's like, and I said to him, right, when he was in the midst of it, I was like, just from speaking to him and seeing the level of depth to him, I was like, you're going to be a fucking guru by the time you're 30. I was like, I promise you. I was like, you're going to be a guru by the time you're 30, and all of this uncertainty and all of this, like, you know, challenge that you're going through mentally right now, it's building you into the person you want to become. I said, it's going to make sense eventually. I said, even though right now you're in the midst of it, it's going to make sense. And like I said, now it's amazing to really see how much growth is happening. He literally does look like, and seems like a guru, you know, and he seems happy as fuck. So, yeah, I think radical change, or to be honest, any change happens the minute we decide to make a change. Once we make that switch in our head, that's when the change happens. It just takes us and the world a little bit of time to really see that, to see it.
Yeah. No, I love that. I feel like we could talk on these topics for hours, but I'm very cautious that you've got a call to go to. So I will wrap up this podcast by asking the final question I ask on every podcast, and I get the guest to set a challenge for the guests for the week. So what is our guest's weekly challenge?
Ooh, what is this week's challenge? I could be really mean with this one, couldn't I? I could go really mean. But you know what I am going to actually challenge people to do this week is, because we're just coming out of the winter, I mean, I can see the sun is shining outside right now. I'm going to challenge people to spend an hour a day, so an hour a day over the next 7 days outside in nature. You could do that walking, you could do that running, you could do that sitting down, you could do that at the beach. Doesn't matter, as long as you're spending an hour a day outside. And I think, just to finish off, there's a little card that I seen with a quote on it, and it said, spend 10 minutes a day in nature. Unless you're busy, then spend an hour. And yeah, that for me is the sweet spot. Once you spend that prolonged period in time of nature, especially when you feel like you should be doing other stuff, and you stay out anyway, there's this sense of calmness and peace that comes with it. And I think all of us should do more of that and need more of that. So yeah, hour a day in nature or outside for the next 7 days. That's my challenge.
Incredible. Thanks for that. Where can people find you online if they want to follow your journey?
So Instagram, Facebook, Ryan Stevens with a PH, so Ryan Stevens with 3 underscores on Instagram. On Facebook, it's Ryan Stevens UK, I believe. And then I'm on YouTube, TikTok as well. Or you've got my website then, which is ryanstevens.co. And yeah, there's like links to different stuff on there. I'd say Instagram's the best place, so just Ryan Stevens with 3 underscores. And there's loads of links then to like the Get After It Get After It Club, Wild Minds Gower as well, which is like a retreat business or wellness and self-development business I run, and all the other stuff as well. So yeah.
Amazing. Well, thanks again for your time, and I'll let you get on with your call.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Adventure Athletes podcast. If you like this episode, make sure you follow us on Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube, and share our content around. It helps more than you can ever imagine. Now, if there's a person in particular that you want to hear from, or a topic that you want us to cover, just drop us a message, let us know in our DMs, and we'll make sure we try and reach out to the relevant people to cover that topic for you. We're always trying to make content that you guys want to listen to. We have just dropped our website. It's adventureathletes.co.uk, and you can go on there to find out the range of different services we offer. So we have sports massage, different training programs, and personal training, both online and in person, that you can sign up to on the website. So make sure you go and check us out at adventureathletes.co.uk.